Today, we are going to be discussing how to get an editor's attention. And I'm going to be telling you the things not to do. N-O-T, not. Don't do that. No bueno. I'll be telling you the things based on my conversations with editors and based on a writer that people pitch to all the time, the things to avoid if you're trying to get an editor's attention when pitching an article. Let's get into it. Tip number 1, don't do this if you want to get an editor's attention, and that is not getting straight to the point. Editors do not want to read 100 or 200 word introduction on God knows what before they get to the point of the email. You see what I tried to do in the introduction? Keep it short and sweet so you can get to the information you came for. Do the same thing when you are pitching to editors. So ideally, you want to tell them what the potential article that you're pitching is going to be about within the first 2 or 3 sentences. Personally, when I'm pitching, what I do is I introduce myself and I include my quick one-line byline, which is I'm a full-time writer who writes for Essence and NerdWallet and The Knot, etc. And if it's a parenting-related pitch, I'll add that I'm a mom, just for, credibility. After that, you just want to get straight into the pitch. If you don't know how to pitch, I have a video on that. So right after here, shimmy on over to that video and watch it. The second thing not to do is writing an email that you would never open. When you send a pitch, aside from, I think with Pop Sugar, where you do it on a pitch form, you usually have to send the pitch in an email. If you would not open and read that email, then please do not write a boring, long, whatever other adjectives we want to use to describe it, email for an editor to read and expect them to open it and approve your pitch. Keep it interesting. And an exercise that I do to help me practice writing interesting pitches and emails, period, especially when I want someone to do something for me, is I look through my email inbox and I pay attention to the emails that I actually open. What makes them interesting? Is it that, as I said in the last point, they get straight to the point? Is it that it's interesting and catchy and witty? Is it that it seems urgent or, it piques my curiosity? Just really sit down and think about it, scroll through your emails, and craft an email based on your observations. Third tip. This is especially for people who pitch writers, because as I said, as a writer, I get pitches all the time from people hoping to be inserted into a publication or collaborate with me to do a story. Think about what's in it for the editor/writer, whoever you are pitching to. I remember earlier this year, I went to Puerto Rico on a press trip and I met this amazing chick, shout out to Kayla. And I asked her, because she used to be a beauty editor, and I'm like, what is something that makes you open the email? And she said, no surprise, an email that lists what's in it for me. So how is this going to benefit the editor or the publication that you are pitching or the writer? Think about that. Be persuasive. Remember when you were in school, if you did this in school and you had to do persuasive writing, it's time to use those skills when you were crafting a pitch. And you want to be persuasive in both the headline and in the actual pitch so that it will grab the editor or writer's attention and make them actually read it. And hopefully, they actually approve your pitch too. The next thing that you should not do, no bueno, is put together a pitch and pitch a publication that you have not studied. Every publication has their own unique tone, style, and niches that they include in their content. If you haven't done any research, then it's very likely that you will end up pitching something that is not on brand for the publication. I see this all the time when people are in my inbox pitching me stories that have nothing to do with the publications that I write. It just, and how it feels is it feels like the person was lazy, couldn't be bothered to do any research, and just basically did an email blast to everyone without kind of tailoring it. Think of it this way, when you're searching for a job and people are always like, you need multiple CVs. Yes, I know it's a headache, but guess what? What happens when you have multiple CVs? Each resume is tailored towards the different job that you were going for. And likely the job roles are different, right? So you need different ones. So anyway, the same thing applies when you are putting together pitches. Spend some time on the website. Write down any themes you see in terms of topics they cover. Are they a very witty publication? Is the writing very laid back? Do they like topics that are controversial, or they like more conservative topics? Think about all these things before you go pitching an editor and, have them roll their eyes and delete your email because you didn't do the research. The fifth thing not to do, not following the editor's pitching instructions. I know our attention spans are very short, 0.0.0.0.0 seconds. But for this, you want to find your attention and pay attention and read. So editors usually maybe on Twitter or wherever they're calling for pitches will put directions in terms of how to pitch them. On Twitter, what I see a lot is hop in my DMs and send a pitch. Some editors do not want you in their DMs, okay? If they say they don't want you in their DMs, don't hop in their DMs. They might want you to send an email instead. Some are even generous enough to send a format of how the pitch should be. They might say, include what the pitch is about, why it's relevant to our publication, why it's relevant at this point in time, include links from previous work, and so on and so forth. So look out for those. If they haven't stated any specific requirements for pitching, then head over to my video and follow the format in a video on pitching. Otherwise, follow directions, beloved. The sixth thing that you should absolutely not be doing is not having a unique angle. What do you mean, Elizabeth, by not having a unique angle? That means if you go on the website, which is why doing your research is key, and you see they already have about 50 articles on how to get over heartbreak, then pitching another article on how to get over heartbreak is probably going to get your email deleted. So you want to look for a unique angle. Even if you're going to talk about how to get over heartbreak, think about an angle that hasn't been covered that is still relevant to the publication that you are pitching to. You want to have some kind of a wow factor. Again, put yourself in the editor's shoes and think, what kind of story would I read? Put yourself, as a matter of fact, in the reader's shoes and, try not to be a little too biased. Okay, that's difficult to do, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, think about, would I read this, or have I read 10 million articles similar to this already? And again, think about, wow, what would make me be like, oh my God, I have to read and share this, and then work your way from there. And finally, the seventh thing not to do, pitching the wrong editor, pitching to the wrong article. Stop doing this. Okay? Now, what am I talking about? What I'm talking about is you have an amazing idea to write an article about the evolution of fashion in the Black community over the past 20 years. Love it. Amazing. Go for it. You're pitching that to the tech editor. Why? But in y'all's defense, especially if you are new to the writing world, you may not realize that usually how an online publication that produces content is set up is they have, especially when it's a major publication, multiple verticals, or let's say departments. So they might have an editor for the tech department, an editor for business, an editor for lifestyle, an editor for fashion, for beauty, and so on and so forth. So what you want to do is try to find the correct editor for the topic that you are trying to pitch. It really grates my nerves and jars me when people are sending me pitches. I do not write business content. That is not what I write. So why are you pitching me that, right? And the same goes for editors. It's super annoying and it's going to get you super deleted. All right. Those are all my tips. A bonus one I will add in. I wouldn't necessarily say this is something that editors hate, but if you are going to pitch, it is a good idea to, if you can, include samples of writing that you've done for previous publications. It's something that I do every time I pitch and it seems to work like a charm. So if you have bylines, if you don't have any writing from previous publications, head over to my video about how to build a portfolio as a new writer. That's okay if you don't have any, but if you do, brag on yourself a little bit, include them inside of the pitch and show yourself off. And what that can do is help build trust with an editor, because they're like, okay, if she's written for so-and-so and so-and-so successfully, then she's probably going to do a good job writing this pitch if I accept it too. All right, folks, that's all I've got for what not to do when you are pitching to editors, AKA things that editors can't stand, and writers too, speaking for myself. I hope this was useful. If it was, of course, share, of course, subscribe, of course, like, and of course, comment. Cooking up new content for you as we speak. Have a great day.